If you have a 12 or 24 volt Audi Quit Pro AC unit, you might be in trouble, but I have the fix and I'm about to show you guys today how I fix my little problem, and let me explain. So back in summer I made a video on how to install this unit and everything was cool, but I checked the comments and I realized I did one simple mistake that you might have done as well. So in today's video I'm going to show you exactly how I fixed that. What I ended up doing was putting butyl tape between all the cracks when you're supposed to carve out of the gasket, which I didn't want to do. But another thing I messed up on was in the gasket there's these little plastic pieces like every so often, and I actually ended up putting that on top of the butyl tape. So now when all the weight is on there and the dynamic loads of driving, it's going to be shifting around and slowly it's going to start to sag, and then my seal's going to break and then water's getting in, and then that's no good. Alright, so here's all the parts and tools required to do this fix. 13mm socket, electric caulking gun. They will send you this for free. And by they, I mean Audi Quit Pro. They will send you a free replacement gasket with 3M window weld. And you will also need this self-leveling lap sealant. You can get all of these on Amazon, and then this is what I should have done, which I knew I should have done this in the first place, and that's buy a 14x14 gasket for the Dodge ProMaster. This is specifically built to fit in the van grooves, so yeah, these are where the little plastic inserts is what I was talking about. So now step one, we are actually going to need to remove the bolts, and I will show you exactly how we do that. We are going to have to remove these bolts so we can then take these bars out and then lift the unit up and then replace everything up there, and then we're going to place it all right back here. So we're not going to be removing any of this. All right, so we just took these out and I actually used Loctite on these, so the nut just spun this out of the little riv nut or whatever the hell that thing is. So that goes into the unit. It's kind of confusing, but this goes into the unit and then this thread came with it, so we threaded that. So we may need to put Loctite on here. But now we're actually going to hop on the top of the van and we're going to take the unit off and set it to the side. So let me just show you how we do that. All right, so hopping up here with not a clue with what I'm going to do. And we start to peel up the unit. And I'm not going to lie, it's heavy as hell trying to lift it from this position and without trying to dent the living out of the roof. And let me tell you, this stuff was rough and stuck. And this was a crazy windy day, but that wasn't stopping me from fixing this damn unit. And I hope no one else has to actually do this, because this sucked and I dreaded doing the whole process. But in the end, it really wasn't as bad as I had thought. But thankfully, I had my pops here holding up with a 2x4, and it was the most sketchy bootleg thing I've ever done. But it worked out in the end. But we get it up and I just get straight to ripping. Here's pretty much what I did. I ripped it all up. I scraped off all the old goo, cleaned the surface, and then bundled it up and sent my goodbyes. So then I went ahead and got all the wiring out of the way, and yes, they're still resting on a 2x4, but I promise it's fine. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab the rooftop fan adapter and we're going to trace around the edge with a marker, and then get 120 grit sandpaper and sand it within that area. Then we're going to mount the Audi Quit Pro gasket to the rooftop fan adapter. So we're just going to stick that right on there, cut it to fit, and then we're going to seal up some of the cuts with butyl tape. So then I am going to flip it upside down and add some window weld, and then I'm going to go ahead and just press it over where I want the final resting point. This thing is never coming up ever again, so for the last step, we're just going to go ahead and do some Dicor lap sealant around the edges and some on the inside of the gasket. So with that all wrapped up, we're going to go ahead and plop it back on there, and we're going to hop inside and I'll show you how we connect it again, because it does raise it a little bit. Okay, so now we are moving on to the part where we construct our frame. We bought this from DIY Van, and this is not sponsored by them, but they are surely saving this build. So step one is to actually lay your frame out. Typically you're going to have yours like this, depending on the hole size, but ours is directly next to the edge right here. So this is edge of the van. we actually need to pull down these furring strips so we can get this low E out of the way so we can then put it up there as well as the insulation. So yeah, as you can see, there are grooves up here, so they make this so it fits directly in those grooves. Hopefully it goes in just like this before it goes in there. We're going to be nailing into here, putting glue right here in these divots, and then we are going to put urethane along here and then put it up in the ceiling. And I'll show you exactly how we do that. All right, so I actually didn't video any of this. We got this frame from DIY Van fully complete. So I will show you how we mount that in a second. But first, what I did was I got epoxy and then I came inside the van and all those loose bolts and screws, I just used epoxy up in here and fixed that whole situation. So the way we built this frame was we went in there and we test fitted everything. And we just got this super glue that they gave us and we put it and just dripped it down here to make everything connect. But make sure you don't do it on a piece of wood because it will get stuck to the wood. And then we used 4 Torx bolts and screwed right into this unit. And now we are going to, I keep getting hair in my face. So now we took this and we put it up in here and it fits in the grooves exactly where it needs to be. I'm not going to do it right now because I need to put it through all this stuff, but it will now mount fully up in here once we put the urethane in. We're going to press it. Okay, and so for our final step, we are going to fully fasten these bars back down, and we're going to be using thread locker. This will completely seal everything up and pull the whole unit down, and we will be complete with our fix. Then the final step you would need to do is once you have your ceiling up, just go ahead and connect all these electrical points and go ahead and mount it to these 2 thread points.